Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Podcana podcast. My name is Garrick, and in today's episode, Sky and I are joined yet again by another Disney Lorcana Challenge champion. This time it is Brian Cortade, also known as Th3Rat. We spend this entire episode talking all about Winterspell Reveal season, some of the best cards that have been revealed thus far, our thoughts. This is a super in-depth discussion about the majority of all the cards that we show here, so we don't get through them all. Maybe next time we'll do a lightning round, but this is a great episode to dig your teeth into and really get a feel for how these cards are going to work, not only in Core Constructed, but in Infinity as well. I hope you enjoy it. All of that is coming up right now. How are you guys doing?
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm doing good too.
Couldn't be better.
Yeah,
I'm excited to be on the pod. I'm glad that someone took it over. So thanks for that, y'all.
Well, we took it over and I said, Garrick, listen, we need to get Th3Rat on. Like, that's what needs to happen here, okay?
Yeah, I mean, that's literally what did happen, so.
I'm not lying, bro. We said we got to get Brian on. So
Here I am. I appreciate it.
No, we're excited to have you on, and I'm super excited for Winterspell. I feel like after the Fabled meta was over, we've gotten into Whispers in the Well, and it felt like the card power went from like completely stagnant and like skyrocketed all of a sudden, and the decks feel so much more powerful. And I think we're going to get more of that here in the Winterspell set, at least from what we've seen thus far, and we have a lot more to come down the pipe. But we're going to talk about some of I think the most notable cards that have been revealed thus far. All right, before we get into the cards, I would like to say that we are sponsored by Heavy Play. If you'd like to save 10%, you can use code Podcana to save 10% on all Heavy Play products. Also, I would like to bring up the Ink Open is officially a CCQ, and that will be February 27th through March 1st out here in the DMV, Baltimore, Maryland. It's a $5,000 main event that is scalable. It has official Disney Lorcana support behind it, so non-foil promos to the top cut, as well as convention playmats that they'll be giving out at JetCon as well. It's also a PPG qualifier, so be sure to come out, and you can see Sky, you can see myself. Brian, are you going to be able to make it?
For the ink, unfortunately not. I'll be in Vegas.
Oh, okay.
Are you serious? Unreal.
There's a lot of people in Vegas that weekend, but that's okay. we won't talk about that. We also have the $10,000 main event, the Enchanted Citrus Clash, which is May 23rd through the 24th in San Diego, California. This is going to be an Infinity DLC, something I know Sky is super excited for, getting into Infinity. So if you're out that way and you need some reps in Infinity before the Indianapolis DLC, this is a great place to get them. So with all that being said, let's get right into the cards. First two we're going to take a look at are two really, really powerful new songs that have been revealed. I think a lot of people are talking about this Angel song, Akud et Emudi. It is a 3-cost uninkable. When you sing it, you pay 2 less for the next character you play this turn, and you draw a card. This card is getting a lot of hype. What do you guys think of it?
This card is insane. Like, I think everybody would look at this card and say, okay, well, if you have anything that can sing this on the first or second turn, like, this card is obviously crazy. The main thing that holds this card back is you can only run 4 of them. So if you play super heavy, if you build your deck specifically around a curve, like where it's like, okay, I'm skipping this turn, obviously you're not always going to hit it and it's going to feel bad. But at the same time, you can just play a normal curve and still build your deck as like a, 1, 2, 3. And then if you hit it later on, it's just like an extra card you can throw out there if you have, more cards in hand. You're probably building your deck to have like some sort of value engine to draw a bunch of cards. I think this card is great. I'm excited to see what it can do for Amber Steel, especially with stuff like the 4-cost Aerial that we got last set.
Yeah.
The boost one that draws a card. I think stuff like this might unlock it. Obviously, if you play the Angel on turn 1, second, sing it, play an Aerial on turn 2, and then every turn after that just boost 1 and sing a song and draw a card, it's like crazy. But even without that, you can go slower routes with playing stuff like Troubadour on 2 or Vanessa, and then next turn sing and do that. So I love this card. I think it's going to be insane. It's going to be like played in Infinity and Core and every deck that plays Amber.
It is obviously uninkable. I think it'll find spots in core with the Infinity DLC coming up now for NA players. A lot of us are looking at cards and being like, well, what does this do in Infinity? Obviously, this card's going to be played for all eternity, basically, in Infinity. I mean, with Cindy and having like the one cost singers even that can sing it, like that's even, a bigger buff to it. It replaces itself. Its only downside is that it's uninkable. If you have a bunch of ink at the end, or you have 5 or 6, then you draw and you don't have a character, it draws a card, and you can still draw a character. And if it's a 5 drop and you only had 6, you could still play it. Like, I mean, I think this card's an all timer. It'll probably be played until the game isn't played in Infinity, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think that the Amber decks that are going to be able to take advantage of it are going to skyrocket in popularity. And I mean, Song decks are already pretty popular. I think Amber Steel, like you guys said, is a pretty dead giveaway for this song. But there has been a lot of murmuring about Amber Sapphire. Do you think this is a card that could unlock that deck a little bit? We already have Belle, specifically in Infinity, if you can get her out with Popsicle and things like that. Do you think this is a card that could unlock new Amber strategies, or do you think it's just going to be like Amber Steel for now until we get more powerful cards that pair better with Amber and other colors?
I think it's going to be. It is a card that can do that. If we get enough other supporting cards for Amber Sapphire, this is like the perfect card for it, because if you look at like Infinity, we have stuff like Belle and Popsicle that Belle can sing this on turn 2. Then we have stuff like Cinderella, which also already pairs with Belle, and you have Cindy, the others. Sorry, I'm talking about 4-cost Cinderella.
Yeah, exactly.
But you also have 1-cost Cinderella can sing it, which also triggers Belle. So like playing a turn 2 Belle with this card and then just like triggering Belle every turn is like crazy. That's a draw engine and a ramp engine, the same thing, which is like the 2 things that those colors need the most. So if we get enough support, I think for sure, at least in Infinity, there's tools to make it interesting. You can do the same thing in core with just 4-cost Belle, but there needs to be probably a little bit more support for that to happen. But yeah, also like to Brian's point of the only downside of this thing being uninkable is that this is like not really uninkable in a way. You could just play this and it still filters and it makes a character cost 2 less. So like as long as you have 1 extra ink and you don't have to perfectly play a character for that much ink, like you can just play your character for 2 less and it just pretty much burned one of your ink to get it out of your hand.
Yeah, I mean, you jumped immediately to the 4-cost Cinderella. I think a lot of us thinking about Infinity are thinking about how there's a lot of things that trigger that 4-cost Cinderella. Belle and Cindy into playing the Cinderella. I mean, that just sounds good. The question is just what you're going to do at the top of your curve that's going to be powerful. Yeah, I mean, I think it could definitely unlock other decks. It just depends on what you're trying to ramp to. I mean, I haven't sat down and like plotted it all out, but with Lorcana, with the reliability that you can get the curve that you're looking for because of the mulligan, like, it's just a matter of sitting down and saying to yourself, like, if I have this card and I'm going to use it, what cards can I ramp to that, may be good? And they could easily not be in steel.
Yeah.
I think the Cinderella is a great target. So, yellow, blue, makes sense to me. Yeah, the uninkable is only a downside if you can't get to 3 or sing it. Which, Amber Steel songs did play a lot of uninkables at times and had some trouble with that. Obviously, they wanted to include all 4 copies of Storm Rage on. That card's still really good, but in the Infinity meta, I think that they'd actually prefer this card without a doubt at this point, because early game destroying something outside of Amber Steel versus another aggro deck or against Green Steel or something, dealing 2 isn't that great, versus progressing your board would actually be huge against like Red Blue or Blue Steel or whatever it is.
Yeah, I've noticed that for Blue Steel at least, even in set 7 before the bans happened, I moved away from Storm entirely. Even though we have Belle, you can play on turn 1 to sing Storm, and it seems amazing, but all the decks that you wanted to use Storm were just literally Green Steel or Hyper Aggro, and both those cases you'd much rather have Fire the Cannon. You have plenty of card draw in those matchups. You just play 1 Flaversham and you're fine for the rest of the game. So like just being able to fit in the cannon on turn 1, you know, or turn 2 with a sail, or even turn 3 with a quill is like more important than just having a storm to sing. Yeah, I think this card is crazy. I think I've theorized a little bit about the Amber Sapphire like top end that you would want to be going for if you go for Cindy Curves. I think it might actually be like a disruption, like with a new card that we'll show later, the Timon. We now have Mowgli and Timon. Like you might just like ramp, and then like right after the turn you ramp, just play like a double Mowgli / Timon effect and just take out 2 of their critical cards. And then maybe even run something like You Have Forgotten Me the next turn, because you took out the 2 most powerful cards. So they don't have a great turn the following turn. Like have them take 1 turn, they ink something, play 1 thing, and then like play the double discard, and all of a sudden in 2 turns you've discarded 4 cards and they have like nothing to play. So I think that might be an option. Other than that though, yeah, there's not much these colors can do strong currently. There's no like bend to my will, so you can't set up like huge tempo ramp into just a lock your opponent like out of the game with that. There's nothing like a blue steel where you just go crazy with items that have an OTK. So I think it's got to be something like a discard disruption style top end.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we see a lot of blue decks play big Hades, but ramping to big Hades is a little counterintuitive to how powerful it is.
Doesn't put a whole lot of pressure on you. Give them ink, so.
And then it gives them ink. Yeah, so it's not that isn't good, but I just don't think it's like the best end game that, you know, an Infinity deck could have.
Yeah, for sure. This other card here, Colors of the Wind, this is like the iconic song from Pocahontas. Everybody knows it. Everybody loves it. I'm kind of torn on this card. I'd like to get, obviously, your guys' opinion on it. We had Friends on the Other Side for so long, and that was such a powerful card. Guaranteed you 2 every single time. You can sing it with your 3 cost on turn 4. This costs 1 more. It is inkable, but has the potential to draw more cards, but also has the potential to draw fewer cards if you're playing a quasi-mirror match, depending on what your opponent has in their deck. So I'm interested to see what you think of this for core. I mean, we already draw a ton of cards in Amethyst, and your thoughts on, does it even have a place anywhere in Infinity?
I love the art. The card itself.
That's not a good start, man. You know it's coming in after a start like that.
I think the card itself is it's just fine. I think it's worse than Friends.
Yeah.
I think that the book has taught people, the guidebook has taught people a lot about kind of the value of card draw, how much you're expecting to pay for it, you know, and where you can actually find it to be valuable. You know, if you hit 2 cards with this, it's bad. If you hit 3 cards with it, it's probably on rate. If you hit 4 cards, it's slightly above rate, but you know, the cost of including the deck, especially in Infinity, like Sky mentioned, I don't think there's going to be any shortage of people playing Ursula 2, Mowgli, and Timon. So like, it's discardable. It can't actually come out of your hand until a turn later, even than Friends. Obviously, I get that you could have like a 2-cost singer or whatever. So I mean, for me, I think like it's hard to see where this card's going to be particularly great. I think maybe in like yellow purple songs where you just need like an insane critical mass of songs, and you also have the 2-cost singers who can sing the 4-cost, whether it's the Ursula, you know, stuff like this, so you can actually sing it ahead of time. And then maybe you're able to play enough like purple yellow cards that are dual color. I mean, it'd have to be some kind of Madrigal thing then, because obviously all the purple yellow cards are Madrigal. Like maybe there's something there because Antonio's also a 4-cost and he's actually a pretty strong effect, but no one's found a way to like, you know, make him work. But I have a tough time seeing where the card's gonna get played.
Yeah, I think this card is just way too below rate, unfortunately. Multiplayer formats is what comes to mind when I see this card.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it's great for that, but like if you look at what Friends was, it was just a singable, inkable thing that could draw you 2 cards, and like, how do you print a card like that without just making it just as strong? It's either you make it stronger or just as strong or worse, and like you could do something like, okay, you draw 1 and then do this effect and 3 consistently, but then it's like, okay, you got to make it probably uninkable and just an action, not a song, and that's probably balanced. But if you wanted a song, like obviously Colors the Wind kind of has to be like, it's pretty tough to make it not just the same. So I think it's just too slow, unfortunately.
I think this card could cost 3 and we'd still be trying to figure out if it's good.
Yeah, I know for sure. It would cost 3, and like
I'm not saying it wouldn't be good.
It's still just worse friends, right? Like there's still there's so much purple out there, and the purple decks only play purple pretty much. Like at least 2/3 of the deck is purple. So like,
yeah, that's a good point.
You could just be drawing one a lot in situations like so. Like the mirror, you're probably not even brave enough to play it, right? In any purple
For
mirror.
this card to hit 3 cards reliably, I think like you'd have to build your own deck in such a way that over 60% of your cards at least are dual color, which is like incredibly challenging.
Yeah, there's just not enough dueling cards right now for this to be anything.
Yeah, I agree. We need more dueling cards as well, I think. We haven't had them in a few sets. Next cards here, a couple more songs. Force of a Great Typhoon, obviously Strength of Raging Fire, one of the best cards ever printed in Disney Lorcana. We finally got some more lyrics for that. Chosen character gets +5 strength this turn, and a rare, Let's Get Dangerous. Each player shuffles their deck, then reveals the top card. Each player who reveals a character card may play that character for free. Otherwise, put the revealed cards on the bottom of their player's deck. I wanted to include Force of a Great Typhoon here just because it is an iconic song, but I'm not sure that this card is going to see a lot of play unless there's a lot more synergy with gaining the additional strength for a turn. That makes it like reliable. I know there are cards that like you can gain lore if you have a certain amount of strength, but I can't see it being too useful when it doesn't replace itself. Like Hypnotic Strength is probably just better to play, but what do you guys think of Force of a Great Typhoon?
I think it's just not great. Yeah, the cards like this, you need to look draw a card tacked on.
Yeah.
What you give up for playing the card is like you either had to sing or just take half of your deck to play it. You need the replacement effect. So unfortunately, a card like this I don't think we'll see play. It's funny that I think a card in Riftbound actually just came out with a similar effect of just like give something +5 for 2, and it's like super broken because the way that the mechanics of that game work, it's like very powerful to just buff something and take out over a location. But this game, you need draw a card in this effect, so I think it's not going to see any play.
Yeah, this card's unlikely to see play. I think you touched on it right off the bat, Garrick, which is just that the only way this card ever sees play is if there's some card that says like, and there are cards in the game that do this, the P, whatever it is. Like if I have a certain amount of attack, then I do the stronger thing.
Mm-hmm.
The stronger thing would have to be like really good for this card to be good enough.
Yeah.
Like these types of cards that pump attack and then let you trade up with the character, if they don't replace themselves, like Sky said, they're just not playable. So
yeah, you need like something down on turn 2 or 3 that's like when something goes above 7 strength, draw 2 cards or something for this to be
insane payoff. It'd have to be an insane payoff.
Yeah.
That's not even enough.
Like
that's
not,
yeah. 2 isn't even enough cards. It'd have to be more.
Yeah.
It really would. It'd have to be way more.
Draw 7 cards.
Yeah. No, right. I feel that. Let's Get Dangerous though. Thoughts on this? I mean, it's a gamble. It's a gamble, but if you're building your deck in a way to take advantage of that, it could be very, very powerful.
Yeah, so I think this card, I'm excited about this card. Even if it's like not super competitive, like I think it's fun to play around. A game like Lorcana where you can, the mulligan system is so strong, you can play decks like Circle of Life and like expect the nuts outcome. And that's a deck that needs like multiple parts. Like you have to have one of your discard outlets, you have to have your proper singers to set up, and you can still fairly consistently find that stuff. So this is a card that's just play a 2-cost singer, you can run 8 of them and do the effect like the next turn sing it. Both the 2-cost singers are pretty beefy. You're not going to have interaction that early. You can always get it off pretty much. So if you just mulligan for this card and you find it, you can have your shenanigans like ensue. But the disadvantage is you have to build your deck entirely around. I need like most of my deck to be big threats.
Yeah.
And how many of those big threats come out and I take over the game? I'm not stuff like if you play a 1 cost and then a 2 cost Singer and then Rockstar Stitch comes down, that's pretty good. Stuff like the Simba, that's like the boost, that's something else that can take over the game. But I don't think like an Amber Steel there's enough stuff to like hit something crazy and just have it take over. Maybe in Infinity there's like more stuff, but I'm not sure. You could also play this in like a Blue Steel style deck in Infinity and just have like Cindy sing it. You're already ramping up to play hardcast big stuff afterwards. It's just like another outlet to cheat them out. But I think this card has some potential. Probably not right now, but it should be fun.
Yeah. So when it comes to reveal season, I'm kind of in the camp where it's like 90% of cards usually aren't good.
Yeah.
Not to be a hype killer, but when you look at this card, it's already doing one of the worst things you can do in card games, which is you use this card and then both players get the effect.
Yeah.
Right? It's like it's potential to be a -1 right off the bat. It's really interesting to me that they actually included the shuffle, the deck, before revealing. They printed the 2E in this set too, and like these types of cards, maybe they get some interaction with the Ursula's Cauldron or like the Bruno effect, but they kind of just like axed all of that and they were like, nope, you shuffle your deck first. So that takes away like all of the setup. So then you have to have this deck with a bunch of characters, and the characters have to be bigger than the characters they're gonna reveal for it to really get value. I think like for all those reasons, it doesn't really ever see play outside of one specific scenario, which is kind of in like the broken to troublesome camp, where it's like similar to yellow purple now, where it's like they go through their whole deck, they know the character in their deck that's left, that character is part of a combo that's going to win the game immediately, and this song just simply puts it on the board, right? Like they're going to go through their whole deck, then they're going to play this because they know even if they shuffle it, they're going to hit the combo piece that's left. It's going to come onto the board, and then whatever it is going to hopefully win. I think like outside of that, I personally can't see like a world where this card, makes it into competitive play at least.
All right, we're not getting dangerous is the vibes today.
The art is awesome though.
The art is awesome. The art is awesome.
They're doing great with the art. I mean, even the Force of the Great Typhoon has great art.
We're gonna see a trend here. The art is good equals don't play.
Up next, we've got a super rare, which I thought was pretty cool. Pocahontas following the wind. Whenever this character quests, gain lore equal to another chosen exerted character's lore. It's a 2-cost uninkable 3/2. Honestly, not terrible stats. And if you're playing like a really aggressive deck, you put a Daisy down on turn 1. You quest with this on turn 3. You're gaining 5. Seems pretty good. Like a Nala Piglet type of card.
Yeah, I think this card, I don't know why they chose to include the exerted text on this. Like, you don't need that at all. There's not that many characters that have like 3, 4, 5 lore, and they're already pretty all off rate. Like, if you think of like the best one we've ever had to quest for like a high amount was Bell, and that card has not seen play since set 4. So I think they could have for sure just done without that text, and this would be an interesting card. But yeah, I think it's too slow. Like, we have like stuff like Bonsai, which is a 2-cost uninkable 3/2 quest for 2. That's pretty much what this is going to be. Like, you can probably play something that makes it quest for 3, but it's not going to do it right away because it's not going to be a 1-cost, right? So just underrate.
Obviously it's uninkable, so it's going to have a high bar to clear. I'm actually not. I think this card could find space. A couple things. One, I actually like the other shift Pocahontas in aggressive decks, and this gives you a shift target for that Pocahontas. 3/2 for an uninkable on 2 isn't completely unheard of. Obviously, it has the 1 less lore, like Sky mentioned, compared to the Hyena, but we have seen this effect before, and it wasn't particularly great. I think it's a little bit better because it's on a low-costed card. I could see this finding play just because the Pocahontas shift could be good enough, and the Princess tag in particular could come into play. I think, I'm not able to see the perfect Princess deck right now, but like that is a good keyword, it seems like, moving into the future. So like, if this card sees play, it's because it's a princess that's a Pocahontas, not because of its effect, in my opinion.
I just realized that this character also quests just for one. I thought
Yeah.
you just got I thought it like replaced your lore from the quest with the effect. Okay, I'm stupid.
No,
It's
so
actually
Daisy,
a lot.
if Daisy's out, it quests for
Quests
3.
him for 3 with this body is actually pretty good. So
Yeah,
I think this could for sure see playing like.
Well, especially with the shift, right?
Yeah.
That shift's actually a good card.
Yellow purple aggro, yeah, with the shift playing into this is like actually quite good. So yeah,
Like when I see this card,
deck, this is for sure played.
I go back to when I was playing at Worlds against Sailor, and he had the YP aggro, and like I didn't even get to play the game. Like, this card would have made me feel even more like I didn't get to play the game. So like I think it has its niche. I mean, obviously Piglet also lures for 3.
Yeah.
But is inkable, so and then Piglet can be on the board and lure for 3 without having an exerted character. So I do think its downside is there, but I think it's a fine card. Like I said, it'll come down to how good that shift really is, I think, or the princess tag. But I could also be wrong, and it could just be good enough on its own as an uninkable 2-drop. But I think, in my experience, uninkable 2-drops, outside of that one specific YP deck I just mentioned from Worlds, where everyone was playing like the Pinocchios, they have like a really high bar to clear. It's not like the best. It's actually kind of like a bad spot in the curve to have an uninkable. Like Calhoun really is like the bar there, and even like Calhoun, people try to shave out of decks. I find like the 1 mana uninkables are a lot, or 1 ink uninkables are a lot more palatable.
I think it's like it also fulfills a role. Like if you play yellow purple aggro, you play Daisy on 1, like Garrick said, and then you play this. Typically, your 2-drop is what they're going to be trading their 1 or 2 cost in. But like this has the effect of
high attack.
This you're going to trade like straight. You're going to like, and also Daisy's also 4 attacks, so they probably can't trade into this. So it's like actually a strong position to quest with Daisy and then quest with this. And it's like, well, what do you want to do? You want to trade, or do you want to like, if you didn't have a double character 1/2, which a lot of decks don't, you can't take out Daisy. So like you're actually setting yourself up for a pretty good position. And then it's also, okay, if they spend the time to take out the Daisy, you've already established something else for the next turn. Maybe it quests for 3, then you quest for 7 with these 2 characters. Like, so between the Daisy questing for 2, this questing for 2, and then another 7, that's already 11. That's pretty good value for just 3 characters. So I think this card's actually pretty good at that deck.
Yeah, I mean, if you compare it to the Pinocchio, got better stats. In a lot of the games where Pinocchio wins, your 1-drop is probably still on the board, also going sideways, because otherwise you probably lost. So I mean, the card just like surface level outside of top decking at the end of the game, given that it's a Pocahontas with the shift that could be good, given that it's a princess which could be relevant, it seems to me like this card's actually like a lot better than that Pinocchio. And that Pinocchio was like not good, but it was like fringe playable, with the Arthur combo with red purple and like set 2 or 3 or whatever.
Right.
Like it's seen itself hit the field a couple times in competitive games. But yeah, so I mean, I'm kind of positive on this card.
We're imagining a scenario where your opponent plays Yamatoa with 1,000,000 items out, activates Dime but doesn't win the game, and then you play Elsa and exert it and quest for like 50 with Pocahontas. That's the dream.
That's true. It is.
It has a lot of combo
potential.
Your
character.
Yeah, it could be someone else's character.
I'm just reading this card wrong multiple times. It's crazy. It just keeps getting better.
Yeah, no, it's and I think the shift really is not bad at all. The shift is good.
Yeah, we're going to discuss that. Maybe I should have just put it on the same slide. That was probably a negative EV on my part. But we have Darkwing Duck, and he also shifts, and he's not a Floodborn, which is really interesting to me. He's a Storyborn with shift. During your turn, whenever an item is banished, you may pay 1 to deal 2 damage to chosen character. This character can challenge ready villains at 6-8. That's pretty good. Quest for 2 can deal 2 damage. I mean, Sky, you're a Sapphire Steel believer. Is this a card that makes sense in any sort of Infinity list, or do you see it potentially seeing play in Core Constructed with the items we have now?
I think this card is like a sleeper good card in Infinity. maybe not sleeper. Maybe people are catching on, but like versus aggro or versus like green steel, this card might actually be like the way you pay off just drawing a bunch of cards and being super slow. You're always gonna have plenty of popsicles to pop for free. Stuff like the Robot Queen we have, which you can pay 1 and deal 2. So you're paying 2 to deal 4, or like to pay basically twin fire. My only concern with this is like in these matchups, do you have time to ramp to 8, 9, so you can pop 2 popsicles and you can, take out two things with its ability, and maybe not. We'll see. Like I think maybe you can like play back and forth enough and be defensive enough to have time to drop this character. Definitely on the play you can, but maybe it's a little bit too slow. But like, man, if you have time to do this and you like crack 1 popsicle, like you can even play a bell for free, crack it, Fortisphere, pop 2 things. Like this thing is like a tank. If you ever stabilize with this thing and they're not sticking anything for the rest of the game, like this thing is just gonna just be like pea shootering down everything they play. Because that's just the board state blue steel can pretty easily set up later in the game. So I actually think this card is pretty good. I could see like a 1 or 2 of in blue steel.
Yeah, I mean the art's great, and the card's good actually.
Oh, okay, let's go.
Every card I have in Brian's like, great, bro. Art's great.
No, I do love. I just like to talk about it 'cause I think that they do such a good job. I love Take That, Evildoers Beware. I love that he works with items just because of Darkwing Duck, and he's got kind of that like toolbox, Batman type deal.
Yeah.
And for this card, I think. I mean, I haven't played very little Infinity. I've actually, one of the main matchups I've played is just Green Steel versus Sky's Blue Steel list. And I know you have like the Ingenious Device or like the Robot Queen and like some of these like items that have like that effect almost baked in to like the item. So there's no doubt that effect is strong, right? It's just like you said, are you going to be able to get it out and take turns after it with resources? Because it's like if you can establish this, it's obviously very hard to remove outside of like Dragonfire, Hades, Let It Go, something that doesn't care about stats unless it's world's greatest, of course. But like if this duck comes to the board and then it lives a turn and you still have like some amount of resources, yeah, I mean it. You could take out a whole board like in 1 turn kind of easily.
Yeah, I think it also depends on what kind of meta there is in Infinity. In a meta where like say Blurple midrange is actually a thing and more mid-range decks, or like Steel Song is like pretty good. Something like this is really good because this is like you have plenty of time in a mid-range matchup to get to these turns where you play this. He's super big, hard to remove, and he can instantly just take out 1 or 2 things and just threaten to just win the game by himself. So I think if that type of meta presents itself and maybe it's less of just aggro versus going over top everything, then this card actually is really good.
What about in core?
In core, I don't think so. You need Popsicle for this card to be good. It does depend on the shift target. So if like the shift target is like a 1 or 2 cost, I think we do maybe have a cost Darkwing Duck.
Yeah, there's a lot of Darkwing Ducks to choose from.
Yeah.
The problem in core, I think, is that I don't know what else you're doing with your deck. You're like literally building it for just this, and like that's probably not good enough. I don't think there's not Hiram Flaversham. You don't have other ways to draw cards like that synergizes with all these like bad items you're playing. Like the reason why these other items are good is because you play 8 popsicles essentially, and that really pushes Scrooge to be good. And that like Scrooge is great, but without those 8 good items that are cheap, he doesn't do much. Like you have to just fill your entire deck with like terrible items, which I don't know. Like maybe we'll get 1 more good item, and you can play 4 Robot Queen, 4 other 1-cost inkable items, 4 Ink Runner, and you could play this card, and like it's fine. But we'll have to see if they give us that. I think they're pretty hesitant to give us items that can match Popsicle's power. Bring back Fortisphere, and this card is great.
Yeah, the one item that has ever been banned in the game. We're back.
Yeah, it seems like this card was literally designed with Fortisphere in mind. It's like, all right, we have Fortisphere, we don't have Popsicle, that's fine. Fortisphere plus Robot Queen is good enough.
Well, try your Darkwing Ducks before they ban Popsicle and Fortisphere in Infinity, everybody. That is what we are saying here.
Yeah, this dude's item effect needs to be used for him to be good for sure. Like to be better than rate. Like probably
also
has to
think-
go off like twice.
Yeah,
Three
for
times,
sure
maybe.
you need to, when you play him, at least trigger him, and then like he has a good chance of sticking around and doing more stuff. But I think the turn that you play him is the main problem. Is like, when do you fit this in? All right, if you play ramp and you're playing Cinderella on on turn 3, you're going up to 6 ink next turn. If you establish, like, you can't really establish a Darkwing deck before that because you had to ramp on 2. So you take one setup turn, you play like a 2 cost and do some more stuff, and then next turn you go to 7 ink. You can shift for 5, and you have 2 ink. If you have 1 Robot Queen and core, you can pay to crack the Robot Queen, and you deal like 2 damage. So I mean, that's 2 essential triggers to that, but like that's still like waiting so long for just doing 2 to 2 things. That's not great into a lot of decks. So it's kind of tough to fit it in, I think, on a curve.
Yeah. Yeah, I have high hopes for the Darkwing Duck. I think as more cards come out, the better he'll be. I also think that Evildoers Beware is not like irrelevant. There's a ton of really good villains that get played at higher costs.
Yeah, like
we've already talked about like
Hades.
Hades. It takes out MOANA as well. So all that's, I think, somewhat relevant. Next up, Snowfort. Here's your item, dude. We have Emerald Steel. I wanted to bring this up just because of Hidden Cove is such a great card in Infinity. Obviously, this isn't Hidden Cove, but it does give the resist +1 instead of +1 willpower, and gives the +1 strength. It's a little bit harder to remove as it's not a location, but any chance that this sees any play, Brian, in like Emerald Steel Infinity lists at all?
Probably not. I'd say it's gonna have to go into some kind of item shell to make use of the fact that it's an item, and not just have the fact that it's an item be better than it being a location.
Yeah.
For Cove, I mean, Cove's in standard right now, right? Their core.
Yeah, it is.
It's a reprinted. Doesn't get played at all.
Yeah.
Even in Infinity, people are like, do I play it in my green steel? Do I not? The Cove.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's going to come down to the meta, of course. But if brawls are popular and things that make you want your Diablo to have 3 attack or your other characters to be boosted, then like, you'll see Cove get played. But like, really, that's where the value from Cove is. It's not even, like it's specifically. Obviously, this card gives all your characters +1 attack, so it can also help you dodge Brawl and Sisu and whatever. But it costs 3, so it comes out a whole turn later. Like the Cove being on 2 with the Diablo and everything, like it just all worked really well. And that card was still like, and that card's obviously good in the mirror, but that card was still like, one of the last cards you put in your deck. And I actually think that Barricade's a lot worse than like the upside of Cove. Obviously, you don't have to pay to put everybody in it, but I don't know. I think if it was inkable, it'd be a lot better.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair, and also I get the point on the Barricade, especially when there's a lot of damage moving, Cheshire Cat and things like that, where Hidden Cove would sort of dodge if you have a character with 2 willpower, that is. But how do we feel about?
Like part of the idea, right, is like you get a favorable trade on your turn because of the Cove.
Yeah.
Where like, because you gain a health and an attack, versus if you only gain an attack, it's just a lot worse.
Yeah. Do you agree, Sky?
Yeah. I think this card. The problem with a lot of cards like these that you see is like, one, it's not attached to a body. Decks. If you're building your deck around an effect like this that's strong, you want to just go wide. So you're giving up a whole turn probably to play this. And that's not great. Like you need your whole thing is I'm bolstering up my board. Where it's like you could have just bolstered up your board by playing a character that had way better stats.
Yeah,
you have to have like a really wide board for this to do anything, and you have to be in a trading position. Green is just not great at that. Green's characters just are not built for that at all. So it's kind of strange that I think they gave this item, but yeah, I think that like needs to be inkable and say draw a card, and then it's good, right? Like then you can play a card like this.
You just don't draw a card on anything. And
Yeah, it's the rule of just draw a card. I honestly think you could draw a card on this card and it's not broken. Like it's
it's
probably
not,
just fine.
It's not. I mean, right? Like it's exactly what you said though about being aggressive and then playing this card. And it's not just this card's a 3 cost. There's the purple card they just spoiled today, the Mystical Inkcaster. I might be saying it wrong. I think that's what it is, right? 2 cost. At the end of your turn, if you didn't challenge, give a character evasive. So you're 1 cost. If it's a lure, then it gets evasive. But then you had to play this item, and that's very similar to the Emerald Chromacon, or Emerald, not Chromacon, Emerald. God, I can't think of the name. But the other Emerald item that gives evasive if you ink.
Oh, right. Yep.
I can't believe I can't remember the name. But anyways, the point is like that card's also unplayable in aggro.
Yeah.
And like
Coil.
the reality is in this
Coil,
game.
Coil.
Yeah, Coil, Emerald Coil. In this game, if you're trying to be aggressive and play a character every turn, to take a turn off to play an item that's going to make your other characters better, or something that's going to make your other characters better, like it needs to be really, 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 really freaking good.
Yeah.
And I don't think that this one is even close to good enough.
Yeah, I think if I could give a tip to anybody brewing decks whenever a new set comes out, always just think, what character could I be playing on this turn that I'm giving up? And think of how many turns of value, what needs to occur for this to be better than that. And usually the answer is like a lot. Like you need like 2 full turns of like this perfect sequence of trades and stuff. So like a way to people like are like, well, I have, I don't have that much time to test. Like I need to flush stuff out. Like what is the best way to rule out what's good and what's not? Think through that. That's a good one to like just save yourself some time.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And we're talking about this card coming out on 3 being uninkable. Almost nothing like that gets played other than the Emerald Chromacon, and that card basically saves your deck from getting completely run over by the tempo that you gain, and this is not gaining nearly as much as the Chromacon would. But what do we think of the transformed Gargoyle here? A 4/4 for 3, inkable. Your character's strength cannot be reduced below their printed value. So things like Sapphire Coil and all of the nasty things that Ruby Sapphire wants to do to you in Infinity, this sort of stops that from happening. Can prevent Sisu board wipes from maybe being more consistent. Do you think this card could see any play as a potential tech card for something like that?
So I think in core, this card is just not good enough. Like if you look at Lexington's a great card because he can combat Genie and all the evasive stuff. And we're even seeing it get
Raging
cut
Fire.
because it, and it can sing Strength of Raging Fire. This card doesn't have that. Its effect is way less powerful in core. It would be if it was played a tech card against an Infinity against Red Blue. If Red Blue was like a huge part of the format. But would you play this in Red Blue for the mirror? And probably the answer is no. You don't really care if your opponent wipes your board, I don't think. You're not playing for a tempo win usually. It's usually like a long grindy who runs out of resources. Like Red Blue isn't like Blue Steel where it has like a crazy draw engine. Like if you're playing the Red Blue mirror, you're going to be taking each other's Hirams out right away always. You're not going to have like infinite cards. And maybe if you set it up with like a ton of workshops and stuff, but you can also have answers for that. So like, I don't think you're winning based on I have like a little bit bigger board and I'm playing this so you can't get Sisu value. And maybe I'm wrong, but like I don't see this being played in that deck. And if it's not played in that deck, you're not playing it in deck Infinity probably.
What about detectives?
Red detectives.
She is a detective.
Red Blue detective. Yeah, when that comes out, man, it's
Judy.
on, bro. Yeah, honestly, no.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, look, the card obviously it has a effect that's meant to counter, attack reduction and then board clears. If it finds a spot, we all know where it's going to be. It's going to be in a deck that spams the board, and then at the end, instead of playing Pete, they play something like this, and it caps off their board to make them resilient against the Sisu, potentially.
And then
but like. Yeah, they could just play Beat Prep. I mean, that's one option. Obviously, you can try to like
the scary part,
circumvent that with Mowgli's or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, the big thing here it just goes back to the snow fort actually, which is like if you're trying to beat red blue by going under them, it's better just to be faster usually
Yeah.
throughout your curve than like rely on like a Pete at the end of your curve. It's not that Pete isn't good versus them, he obviously is, but at the end of the day, he only lures for one. Like the rest of your cards need to lure for more to make the Pete more valuable, and we see that right now. Pete's not played that much in Purple Steel, and part of the reason is that Purple Steel doesn't actually have a lot of aggressive lines like lore wise.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't have a 1-drop that's luring for 2. They don't have a 2-drop that's really even luring for 2. Versus like when Pete's played an Amber Steel, your 1-drop lures for 2. Your 2 1-drops on 2 lure for 2. Like, you know,
Yeah.
you're going so fast, and the Pete's providing so much more valuable or value or this character at the end of the curve. But you know, she's not even nearly as good as Pete in that way either, because obviously like Pete shuts down B prep, and she doesn't even shut down C, so he would still kill all your little things, and if your little things lure for a lot, then or if your early drops lure for a lot, chances are they don't have a lot of attack anyways.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think she's playable in Infinity.
We are out on Snowfort and the transformed gargoyle, but are we in on these two? Timon, the snowball swiper, we talked about him a little bit earlier. Obviously, he's uninkable, unlike Mowgli, but he lets you pick what you want, and it is a non-character card. It doesn't have to just be a song like with Ursula. It could be a location, could be an item, could be an action. Are we in on Timon? Does the uninkability scare you away, or is the effect just that powerful that you don't care?
I like this card. I think it's valid to be uninkable. Like, you're gonna be wanting to play him like when an uninkable card would be scary. So like even if you have 2, it's not the big deal. I kind of mentioned before in Infinity, if there's a style of Amber Sapphire that's good, I think it's like 4 Mowgli for this card, and like after your Cindy turn, you play 2 of them and just rip apart their hand. This guy's also a singer, so like being 3 costs and understat is not a problem. We have that one broke song with Angel. If you don't start with an Angel, like, and you play this thing, rip something, and then you can play like a card that maybe generates, value or card draw. That's awesome. Maybe you play something like the Surfer Stitch, and that's how you draw cards. You get a quick 1-2 refill after ripping their hand. You're just gonna win the game, just a little bit ahead on value. So I think this card is great. I don't know how much play we'll see immediately in core, because it is pretty slow for a core that's just mid-range tempo. But I think it does have potential if the really strong color combination to just be like, yeah, this is great. You can just like the choose effect is nice. One thing to note though is that anytime you're dropping double Mowgli, it's probably just taking out both the viable options. Like if you play Mowgli and you see there's another option, they don't ink it. Like it doesn't really matter if it's choose or not, the second effect, as long as you're playing 2 of these, taking them. So the main thing is that just you have more of them, and this is a thing that can sing something for 3, which is proving to be pretty relevant for Amber.
Do you think this card would be better if it was inkable and you couldn't choose?
Yes, I do think so.
Yeah.
The one spot where it's not though is like Amber Steel mid-range, I guess, maybe, because like sometimes you're not going to be playing curves with Mowgli on 2, and like you just want to take their 1 strength or something, or like their 1 important balance piece. But I think it would be stronger overall. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, when you're playing Mowgli on 2 or Timon on 3, you're kind of not being aggressive. So like, because these cards both lure for only 1, so like, you know, where these cards are finding their value is actually in like decks that play more like YP or something that has like mid range. So it's like you actually just decrease them by a card, and that's just actually really good. And because you're gonna make the card, you know, value like worth it at the end of the game. I think that he's definitely a good card. I think that in Infinity, where you're going to see a lot more non-characters, he's obviously better. He sings more songs in Infinity, yada, yada, yada. I'm actually probably going to land on, I'll be surprised without some type of synergy through him being like Timon or something like, or like Amber play all Amber characters or discard a card to get an effect or something. Like outside of additional synergy, I have a tough time seeing where he ends up getting played in core. These types of effects tend to be better on cheaper cards because you can fit them into the curve where you need to take out their key card once you understand the matchup. Be prep before 7, sail on 2 on the play. Take their sail. But like as these cards get more popular, also people change the way that their decks are built a little bit. So like with the advent of Mowgli getting popular in dogs, and I played dogs in Richmond, and I was up to 4 Mowgli and 3 Ursula. I think Diego also played 7 of those effects. People, to get around like you just taking a sail, people just started playing a little bit more actions. 2 more actions, 3 more actions. It brings me back to kind of like the green steel era where there was a lot of Ursula 2s, and it's like, well, if I play against Ursula, I don't want to keep any songs. Well, actually, if I have 2 strengths, I should keep both of them.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that song and dance that can be kind of tricky. But I just feel like that it all becomes a lot less effective when you can't take out their 2-cost ramp. This effect, so I'm kind of lukewarm on the card, but I do think like it's likely it'll see play in Infinity at some point.
I like it in, if Amber Steel is a deck in core, I would wager to say that this card is very good in that, because like you want the Mowgli effect. Like that's really, if you look at what you always want to play, the strongest thing Amber Steel going is that you have consistent. On turn 2, you can play something that sings a Zeus or a Strength. So you have that removal piece, right? That's great. That's huge. We've seen before with Amber Steel midrange before the rotation that was really strong in like low to the ground metas. The main thing now is we're lacking card draw, and we had to trade off card draw for aggression, and now Tiana's not great. Swap this in on the turn 3, take something of theirs, you set up another singer, and you still have your 2-card slot that's the the Troubadour of Vanessa. Like that's fantastic. Like the main thing about Mowgli is like you don't want to play him on turn 3 because you want to play you want to play him on turn 2, but you also need to play your singer. So this is like, okay, I go the singer on 2, I play this, next turn maybe one of them sings the new 3-cost song, you play like an Ariel, boost it, and then you use the other one to play a Zeus or a Strength and take out something and draw a card. Like that seems insane. You did like a little bit of everything. I think it has potential if Amber Steel is a deck that this would be played like as a 3 or 4 of.
How do we feel about Ruben? Exert to remove 2 damage from chosen characters of yours. For each 1 damage removed this way, you may pay 1 less for the next character you play this turn. Amber getting more quasi ramp this set, and of course we've seen the power of Lantern throughout the history of Disney Lorcana. I'm seeing people already saying Amber Ruby is back because of this card. You play Mulan on 1, you play him on 2, then you do whatever. People are saying shift Mulan, but that seems insane because what are you going to shift Mulan and attack nothing? So maybe you want to play a different 5-cost on turn 3, but thoughts on Ruben?
Yeah.
Why don't you go first and say the art's good, bro?
The art's good. I love it. Yeah.
It's making a sandwich.
I could use one of those sandwiches right now, to be honest with you. It's a solid card. I like it, even if it doesn't see play. It's got this alien tag, which is becoming increasingly relevant, even if it doesn't come up yet. I do think it has, obviously, like, I think it's best with the characters that are in red. One thing that's interesting about Infinity right now is that, maybe this is a hot take, but Rapunzel, the 4-drop, which is like, considered an all-timer, it's actually, in my opinion, kind of finding its way out of Amber Steel Infinity deck list. Just because of how, slow it is and stuff. I mean, ramping's great. You got to have draw on any deck that ramps and puts the character out, or the character you put out has to be really good. So, it just kind of goes back to what we said about that song earlier and whether or not it'd be good in a non-Amber Steel deck.
Mm-hmm.
If you can figure out the curve, like if you can sit down and be like, on turn 1, I'm going to do this. On turn 2, I'm going to play this, Ruben or whatever. And then on turn 3, I'm going to play this. And then I'm going to use Ruben. And then he's going to let me do this. and then that's kind of gonna let me do something. Maybe there's something here, but I haven't put the time into it. I'd say the card's fine, not great. Outside of if someone can, find that curve that hits just right. Similarly, like with red yellow, which has been unplayable. Red yellow Mufasa has been unplayable for a while now. But there was a point where like they had that combo where they go Gaston into Raya, and then they ink, and then Raya resets the Gaston or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that was good. Like that was good. Like no matter what deck you are, when you play against a red yellow Mufasa person, because I have one in my state who plays it all the time. Like when you go against him and he does that, you're like, your deck seems good. So like if you can figure that out with this person, like with Ruben, and I don't know what you're bringing out or how you're exactly doing it, but if you can find the curve that makes it make sense, I think maybe it's there. But I would have liked to see him have one more attack.
Yeah.
That was my first thought too. Is why not make this a 2/3? I think it has a chance if it's a 2/3 to be pretty good. I think this card is not great, but if they had like a crazy 5-drop or something that was a bodyguard that protected these pieces, because you need to turn this thing sideways, you could go like Mulan on 1, Ruben on 2, turn 3, do back, play 5-drop bodyguard, maybe it just like draw or something, and then next turn you had time to play like another Mulan or a Goth again and just going up. Like, yeah, I think this is a fair chance. You're not going to really see removal played on this Ruben, really. You don't like it. If you do, it's a pretty good trade-off, and you can just play like your mid-range game. But I think we need to see some kind of crazy 5 cost to have this be good.
Yeah, I agree. We're not shifting Mulan on 3 with this, guys.
No.
Don't do that.
No.
Yeah, I don't even... It's one of those things where it's like, even if you picture it in like an aggro deck, let's say you go like 1-drop aggro, then you play this card, which is obviously a poor aggro card.
Yeah.
Face value. Then you play like, let's say, the 3-cost Beast. I'm going to use him because Ruben can actually heal him twice. And I think that having a character that Ruben can heal twice is kind of crucial. Because if he just heals Mulan once and he can't heal anybody else, and he almost needs to activate his effect twice for, in my opinion, to be worth anything. So if you can go 1, 2, Beast, heal Beast, play another 2-drop, next turn heal Beast, play another big character like Stir for Stitch or something, like maybe it's there, but because he can't attack back, it's like, all it takes is one Calhoun and your whole game plan is pretty much thrown out the window.
Yeah.
And
I think they need to give some crazy bodyguard. Yeah. Maybe even the bodyguard he heals, and then it's like super synergized. But
I think it might be a hot take, but I think even if he was, when this card quests, remove up to 2 damage from chosen character of yours, he still wouldn't be playable. So like,
yeah, like I think the lore in this style deck doesn't matter hardly at all. Like I guess mid-range Mufasa type.
Yeah, that's just a strict improvement, though.
Yeah, basically. No, I agree. I think they are a little too hesitant to do quest effects. Like I see a lot of these cards that are like not quite there.
That's Huey, right?
And it would, yeah. I think they could do a lot more that are just on quest, and it's fine. I see a lot that are like fringe like this. They just say tap, and it's like, well, you could have. That wouldn't have changed much. It would have just helped him a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got some more aliens here. Angel. I'm going to be honest, when I read this card, I was like, this is the best card ever printed. And then I read it again and realized my mistake. But while you have no cards in your hand, this character gains resist +2. And good aim. Once during your turn, you may choose and discard a card to deal 2 damage to chosen character. I first read it as, because it was a steel card, you may draw and discard a card to deal 2. I was like, once per turn, I was like, that's insane. You just get to deal 2 every turn, but it's not that. What do we think of Angel? I mean, she's got like dock synergy. If you have like double dock in your hand, it would feel pretty good to discard 1, deal 2, and then draw 2. But I think this card needs cards that do something when they're discarded. Like if this card is discarded, it comes onto the board instead, or you gain a lore, or you deal a damage if this card is discarded from your hand, right? I think she needs some sort of synergy like that, and I think that's something that Lorcana is missing for Steel. What are you guys' thoughts?
Yeah. It needs, what was that card? Your Hearthstone guy, Brian, was like Fist of Jaraxxus, deal 4 when you discard it or something.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a lot of, I'm sure that's coming, to be honest with you. Like we got the 1 mana Gontu, that's a 3/3.
Yeah.
And when he's played, he discards a card. So, cards that have upsides when they're discarded. I mean, I actually was pushing for that as a way to make green steel less oppressive when it was good. In Magic, they've sometimes solved this by, like, I think it's the run or one of the trolls. It's like if you can discard people's hand, but then if you play something that lets them choose what to discard, then they can discard the card and then it just comes out for free.
It's a 4/4 green creature. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And it just comes out for free. So it's like
for Liliana, yeah.
I
actually have the opposite of cards like that. Like I hate when like you have to devote sideboard to cards like that. And it's like, well, if I hit my 1 or 2 of, it's really.
Well, in Lorcana, you don't have to
play that
you don't
one
have to,
card.
If you play Lorcana, you don't have to commit the sideboard, right? The card
True,
just has to be
but you have to commit to that. You have to commit to the regular deck, which is actually worse in my opinion.
Well,
but...
I mean, it just depends, right? I think that they do a good job of statting the, like Benjo saw play, Wasabi saw play, right? Like I think like.
Sure. And I hate cards like that. I just hate the meta call, like
the tech card.
It's fine. Like they're not that far below rate, and like if it is a correct play in certain metas to play these cards, but like I just hate devoting deck slots to stuff like that. That's just like most of your matchups you're never gonna want to play this, and like
well, in the current evasive format, Wasabi is arguably on rate. Just
really?
because
four
fights
3/3.
Yeah, I mean, Demo's a 4-cost 3/3. Like the way that it interacts with Elsa in your own Elsa at least lets you trade back in the scenario. So like if it was a 2/3, it'd just be completely unplayable in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like absolutely. Yeah, so for this Angel card, I think the stats are talking about 3/3/4/4s or 3/3/4s. I think the stats are a little too low. I also think it's like it's hard to have no cards in your hand on turn 4, even if you pitch something. And like also it's a little unintuitive because Steel, they want to play Doc, but they don't want to discard Doc, right? So it's like
going down to 0 is like very hard, and the payoff
really bad. It's really bad.
Resist
like,
+2 for that payoff is crazy. When I read that, I was like, what is this?
Like you have to dump your hand because you have Yzma or something, right? Like
yeah,
on the board already. Like, you can't even be that you have Doc in your hand. So, like, I think, like, the untouchable the upside is, like, very little there. And I think for the effect, like, that's obviously an incredible effect. But...
Thoughts on her with Goliath? Goliath, you draw 2 at the end of your turn, discard the card you draw for turn. Now you have 2 cards to play. Potentially, you always draw 2. I mean, you're not going to get the resist, but it helps you enable good aim. I think Untouchable is kind of like impossible to make be good, unless you're playing Snow Fort.
You'll typically be okay with doing that. But we also have like in that deck, the best deck that plays Goliath is Blue Steel, and you run like at least 8 songs that you can sing. So that's kind of like a more powerful way to do that. It's just like, okay, you hit a character, you hit an ink and a song. That's what you play to get down to 0. So it does help when you don't hit that, but it means you're not hitting your best stuff. So if we're playing it just for that, it's probably not worth.
Yeah.
This card actually like upset me. I was really excited when I saw this card.
Yeah.
I love the art, and I was like, oh, it's steel, it's cool. Like it's maybe in a way in Blue Steel you can just put a character down that can't get Pete locked, and you deal with like either Green Steel or Ember Steel aggro's board. And then I read that it was 1 during your turn. I was like, why? Why is it 1 during your turn, man? Just let me play a Hiram and then play this to snowball everything away. It probably would be too good if you did that, but like I think it just without that it falls short. Like only doing this effect once is
you'd
like,
want it to have like the Monstro ability to just discard and do the effect.
Yeah, because I was like, okay, you just straight up discard. That's really bad usually. If I'm willing to pitch my hand, I should at least be able to just do this as much as I want, right? And I think it actually maybe could still be a fine card, not be broken in Infinity if it was unlimited. Because like if you think like, okay, if this is a card I'm playing against Steel aggro decks in Infinity, I want to get around Pete. They can't interact with this at all. They can't get rid of it. They can't like Pete lock it. So like I set up a Hiram, I play it, draw 2 cards. I have a decent amount of cards. They can't take out my Hiram. So maybe I quest the next turn, destroy another item, draw cards. I have a really good hand. This is my payoff, my way to get back in the game tempo-wise, is I just play this the next turn, discard like 3 cards, take out 3 things, and I'm good. I love that because it involves playing Hiram in your curve. Like the
I
worst
love
part
that
about here-
because it involves playing here.
Anytime I can
True
play
blue
hero versus
sapphire
aggro
player. Yeah.
and see more cards and like still not be that far behind on tempo, I'm great. Like you can even like because like right now you can kind of play hero because you can sing like a Zeus or a Strength the next turn and it makes up a little bit for the slow play. But like this is like the real payoff. Like if I need to wipe, I can just dump my whole hand. I still have a hero for 2 cards the next turn. I'm chilling. But the 1 per turn is probably not good enough.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean you have this
Also,
whole-
Prince John against Green Steel. If they have a Prince John out, you're just done. You can't.
Oh,
You're
yeah,
drawing a
that's
card-
true.
Yeah,
That's
drawing
true.
a
you can
card if
still
you wanna
take
take out Diablo, right?
It's interesting because I think that the card would probably still be pretty good against Green Steel and
Yeah,
in
it
the
probably
spot
would.
that it's-
Taking out Diablo, even if they get a card, is like still super important.
So we have this Stitch from the previous set that's uninkable 4 cost that just deals 2 when he enters, right? Like if he was inkable at the time, I was like, even if this card was inkable, I think it doesn't see play as a 1/4 that just deals 2 when it enters, right? So like now I'm thinking to myself, like let's just say that Good Aim was like when I'm played, just deal 2.
Mm-hmm.
I think like even then, the card probably is just fine, and like it's like
I
Sky
think that would
said,
actually probably maybe see play if it's just
yes,
exactly as
it
it is.
could see.
Because then it can
just-
sing next turn. Like that maybe it's good enough.
I do think it's
people-
probably like it's right there.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is like Sky said, like with Good Aim, even if you could use it infinite times in a turn, the card actually doesn't even get much better. And like when you understand that, it shows like you have an understanding of like the game of Lorcana really well, because it's like a lot of people might think like, well, if you could just use it infinite, it'd just be completely broken. And like, yes, it would be good at stopping aggro, but then you wouldn't have any cards.
Yeah.
And like, you still might end up losing. So like, yeah, I think all around the whole package of this card, it just probably won't see play. And if it ever does, it's gonna be because this card comes into play and you discard a card and blow something up, and that is good enough. Like
Mhm.
that in and of itself, and whatever meta it is good enough. But yeah, it's an alien.
It is that it does have the alien and
It's
ally
alien.
tag. It is not a detective or a gargoyle, but it does have ally and alien. That's true. Let's talk about this Keep the Ancient Ways. This card kind of blew up. Everyone was talking about it. They're losing their minds. I think for Infinity, this seems like sort of a no-brainer, but core right now, I'm not exactly sold on it. Like it's very, very character-centric core is, except for like Sapphire decks. But Keep the Ancient Ways is pretty exciting to me. You talked about earlier, Brian, Pete sort of falling out of favor in a lot of spots. Do you think that Keep the Ancient Ways brings that powerful effect into the game, but in potentially a more efficient way?
For core, this card's not playable, in my opinion.
Yeah.
For Infinity, it's definitely a player. I don't know if it's like, oh, this is the best thing ever, but it's got some legs there. I think, just to hark back on to what Sky said earlier, effects are a lot better when they come with the body.
Yeah.
But there are ways to like offset that. So
Right.
with Green Steel, you have obviously double singing this is irrelevant with Ursula, but you do have Max Goof, so you can actually buy it back.
Yeah.
And because that deck has such a high density of 3-cost cards it wants to play, even though it played Pete, it wasn't like it creates a world where like your deck has to play a bunch of 3-drops and 2-drops because your curve has to look like 1 2 3 4 or 1 2 3 2 2 and then a 3 2 1 5. So like when you play that Pete, when you play Pete in current Green Steel, whether it's Infinity or whatever, like you're gonna end up kind of with the same curve every time because you're gonna have a lot of 3s and a lot of 2s in your deck. If it's efficient, it's gonna be set up to get to use those in combination of 4 and 5 to dump your hand. I do think like from a toolbox perspective, like I said with the Max Goof, there's like definitely some viability potentially, just because you'd be able to buy it back. But all in all, I'd say that this card is not better than Pete,
Interesting.
probably in most cases.
Like Max Goof muses this, just never let them do anything. Like against Sapphire decks, right?
Obviously, not being able to play items is a better upside than not being able to play actions.
Yeah.
Actions and items. I mean, and like you can get people on key turns, but it's like something Sky also said. If it said draw a card.
This card does say draw a card, Brian, for the example we're talking about. I think this card is insane for the green steel deck in Infinity. Like, if blue steel right now is probably the best deck. The way you beat blue steel as green steel is you stick a Diablo and just control your. After you stick a Diablo, that's your card draw for the rest of the game. Your job is to, one, protect the Diablo because you need him for a little bit, and two, to just disrupt your opponent and start the discard train. This card allows you to do that. If you shift the Diablo and play this, and it means one turn, or you can sing it, it means one turn your Diablo lives, is crazy. Like, say you shift the Diablo, next turn you play a 3-cost Ursula and you sing this with Diablo. Okay, both these things, these crucial parts, are safe on your board. Next turn you can untap, double sing like a Storm with Ursula, take out anything that's on board. It doesn't even matter like what it is. Even if you deal 2 damage to your own after that, it's fine. Like, you have your engine essentially assembled. And I think being an inkable song, like, this thing is like crazy for that thing. And I think it's gonna help that matchup a lot. Maybe it's not favored anymore. It's not favored still, but like, I think it gives it a chance. And you end up with these board states also where you have tons of cards. Something like this would be like the best thing you could have, because you just burn it. It doesn't matter that it doesn't draw a card. It doesn't matter that it doesn't have a body on it. You just want to continue taking over and shutting them out of the game. It also does similar stuff for like red blue, can save you on a B prep turn. Also, I do think there's other decks in Infinity that have a chance, like that I think has a big chance in Infinity, at least before this card. But now blue steel being able to play this card and green steel being able to play this card, I think probably keeps blue steel above green blue from going over them. Maybe not, but I think this card is crazy, and I think blue steel and green steel and maybe even amber steel will play this card, at least in some copies. And I do actually think this card has a chance in core if the certain archetypes are playable, because I think they are valid inclusions in those archetypes in core. I think blue steel would love to play a card like this. We talk about cards like Goliath. You don't care about burning the song. I think the strongest way to play blue steel currently is 4 Aerial and just go Cindy into Aerial and play super hard for that. So having another inkable song that you can sing with a Tipo or a Cindy or something and take the Aerial trigger is fine. And I think like the main weakness of blue steel right now is like it spread to green blue, but it just loses very hard to green blue. And it's also just a little bit more reliant on stuff like a Cinderella, because you don't have great alternatives to your turn 3 if you miss Cinderella. So this kind of solves, like, if your opponent's green blue and they're about to combo off and you sing this turn, then like, if you can use this to keep them off the combo or to keep them from bouncing heavy, like this might actually be like a valid answer. And then like, say you keep them off of it for 1 turn, then next turn you play Horseman and disrupt it. Like, that could be a very valid strategy in blue and could completely flip the matchup. And like I said, you have stuff like Goliath that you don't mind wearing down and just playing one of these cards, because you're going to draw 2 at the end anyways, and it's tough to ink and double spell with a blue steel deck that's built like with a super heavy top end. So I think this card actually, in blue steel at least, I would play this card right now.
You talked about in green steel at the beginning of that how you get to protect your Diablo. I mean, I played more copies of I'm Still Here than most people. I think I'm Still Here does what you just described better than this card by like a lot. It protects you against evasives that have attack. It protects you against the damage spells that deal less than 4, obviously.
I guess, yeah, that's true.
So like, and Ursula double sings it, and you draw 2, and you give resist 4. So like, in green steel at least, I'm pretty. I think the card
it still could protect
has
Ursula,
that buyback. Yeah, you can.
Because like, if you do the Ursula curve, and then like your opponent could still play like an ingenious device or something like that, or sing a song to take him out. But
just remember, at the end of the day, the card's a -1. If it doesn't help you do the thing that wins you the game, the card's just a -1 in a sense.
For
like,
sure.
I get that it interrupts their turn.
No, I get what you're saying. Like, I think
You'll see it.
That
You'll
is
see it
a
come
valid
up, though.
point. Well, I think if that's the case, I think more people just need to play I'm Still Here, because I think like that's all you care about in that matchup, is keeping the Diablo alive. Like, if you look at the games green steel can steal against blue steel, it all just involves sticking a Diablo for like 3 turns and getting the engine going.
Yeah, I think Green Steel and Infinity is favored versus the Sapphire Steel deck that you played last without the songs that destroy and with the all of the Ingenious Device and Robot Queen. Actually, I don't mind that matchup.
You said Green Steel's favorite. You think?
I think so.
We're gonna have to run it up. I think it's not like
fun.
super fair for Blue Steel, but I do think Blue Steel has plenty of tech options to just slot.
No, I mean there's just so many cards in Infinity. Like it could change just by adding 4 different cards or whatever.
Robot Queen is messed up. Like I think I'm higher on Robot Queen than I was because of the meta that I expect, and like playing 4 Robot Queen's fine, and that with Bell is like really messed up to take out Diablo early. But to go back, one last thing with this matchup is like, I'm Still Here is probably better on turn 1 to protect the Diablo, but this card is way better later. Like this keeps like sometimes like in this matchup, Green Steel ends up having a lot of cards. This card range, they have their Diablo survive for a few turns, and you get to a spot where it's like I don't really care what I'm either I'm just like playing characters and looping songs, but to keep a clock on, I don't really care what else I do. So something like this is like fantastic. If I just need one more turn to like make sure my opponent doesn't remove anything, and I'm just chilling. And I think later on,
actually,
that's like.
I actually feel like the stronger part of this card is the part that Pete doesn't have, the non-items.
The items.
Yeah, no,
like,
for sure.
If Blue Steel sets up a huge item turn, then you can cut them off. Like you can cut them from winning with Tamatoa and Dime. And there are some
shutting off a Hiram. Like if your opponent plays a Hiram and they land one item, which is pretty frequent. Yeah, like, shutting off their draw with Hiram for a full turn is like pretty insane.
But still, like that means you had a card in your hand that stopped them from doing what they want to do, but it didn't progress you towards what you want to do.
Right, but I think Green Steel is the style of deck that wants to do that the most out of any deck. They're just like doing they're doing nothing but doing everything at the same time, right? Like they just want to set up a board. Like they have stuff to sing with, and they have stuff. Rest they don't. They have like one of the slowest clocks ever, and there's no big thing you're building towards like most decks that want to go late. It's just controlling by just like stopping your opponent entirely.
They just play a lot of do nothings. Like what you're describing. I think Sudden Chill, like Green Steel sets up for a full discard. Like it doesn't matter if you have items or actions. I took all your cards out of your hand, right? Like it's like so like in that way, it's actually. It's good at stopping them from coming back, but it's actually a bad card to have after you've like established a board because it doesn't get you towards winning.
Sure. Yeah. This also keeps cards in your opponent's hand. So like if they have to just play like ink and play a character, like okay, they they have like some songs, some items, and then you delay them from dumping their hand, and you have more discard targets also. So it's like okay, now my Prince John has two or three things to munch on, and I just keep going.
Yeah, we'll see.
I think
we're all going to learn a lot about Lorcana.
I think so as well.
In like 2 years, we'll look back at this card and we'll all have realized we learned a lot about how the game actually plays out. Because in my head, I think it's much better in the scenarios where like you have a bunch of you're playing Blue Steel and you drew a bajillion cards and it's just one of your cards. Like I think it's so much better than Pete in those situations.
It's gonna be kind of like cards like Bend a little bit, where it's like you don't want to play it. I get like it has applications against other decks. Pete Effect Infinity is good, but like for the most part, it's there because if the other Blue Steel player plays this and shuts off a full turn of what you really want to be doing, which is cycling through as much of your deck as possible and ramping as much as possible, like you're just gonna win the game because you're just a full turn ahead then. And then like imagine you play it, draw more cards, your opponent doesn't get a draw, and then you play another one, which is completely done. Like they have to like win on tempo, and Blue Steel does not want to do that at all, especially when you have singers established and just okay, I remove 2 of your things, go, and then they have to just replay. They're just so far behind. So I think it's gonna be a very toxic card in the Blue Steel mirror because like it's whoever gets this off first, like and on a critical turn, it just probably wins you the game.
Yeah. I mean, Green Steel does need a lot of actions. Like this card will get played in the deck. I mean, the deck with Max Goof, it needs to discard for Diablo. It's like it's probably going to get played in some number, but it definitely is not like. I've seen what people have been saying. I think that people are overestimating. That's all.
You don't think they'll just infinitely loop this and never give Blue Steel an action or an item turn with Muse's Max Goof?
Dude, I mean, Blue Steel has characters. They aren't like completely horrible, and like you can change your deck too, right? Like your deck
Yeah,
will
see
change if it's
you
good,
stick
right?
one
And I
one
just think like,
Ursula, and then you just strength their Scrooge and their Bell, and it's done.
yeah. I mean, look, I love Green Steel.
Yeah.
I can tell you all about how it can win. I can tell you about how it can lose too, though. You draw cards that don't
usually
do
Ursula
anything.
I won the game if Ursula sticks at all, but
Yeah, it feels like that a lot of the time when I'm playing against it in Infinity. But that was an awesome discussion. These are the two iconics of the set. Interesting decisions. I think everyone thought it was going to be Angel and Stitch, but we have Pocahontas and Moana here, two characters super relevant to the story, but also two really powerful cards that I think a lot of people have been talking about. Of course, the Pocahontas we mentioned earlier can shift onto the 2-drop in an Amber Amethyst type of deck. Does shift on 3, quest for 2. It's a 3/6, so it's got a big body. Also inkable, when you play this character, if you use shift to play her and none of your characters challenged this turn, characters can't challenge until the start of your next turn. So putting her in aggressive shell makes a lot of sense. She's similar to Kita, but you cannot challenge, which I find really, really interesting with this card.
see, I think Pocahontas is actually a pretty strong card. It's similar to the 5-cost Kita, like you said. It's very similar stat line. Kita was 3/5, quest for 2. It was played in the Diggy Diggy Hole deck sometimes with the 1 cost, sometimes without. I think the longest way it was played was actually without the shift option because obviously you're getting rid of a character that you probably want to be questing with, and just adding a character to the board is like kind of like burn in the fact that this is a big body, it's probably going to survive, so shift over a little bit of value. So that deck proved that it could get to 5 sometimes you didn't, you got to 4 and it kind of was a bad top deck. But I think the yellow purple maybe might struggle a little bit more to get to 5 ink. Diggy Hole played stuff like Rapunzel for draw. I don't think yellow purple has anything comparable to that type of draw. So
Hold on, we got Colors of the Wind, brother.
Yeah. We're drawing too, man, and we're singing with our stuff we need to be quested with.
Yeah.
I think you have to shift with this probably in these colors. I don't know, maybe there's some draw card that comes in that makes it to 5 more reliably. But even then, like, shifting onto your 2 costs kind of stinks. Like, obviously it's a card that you probably would even quest and take the trigger with before and shift it, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Quest the 2 cost over the shifted 5 cost thing. But even then it's still strong. Like, this is a very strong effect. Like, if you're essentially just shutting off trades for a turn, like, capping that off with this on a format that not many people have access to a board wipe and they have to eventually just set up for, swinging is very strong. Like, most decks can deal with one thing with it from hand with the spot removal stuff like Hades, and Elsa doesn't even do anything in this case. So I think this card is very strong. We'll just see if the deck that it would go into good enough to be a contender.
Ryan, you love it? You love the art. I know that for sure.
The art's great. It is a great art. And it does make sense that Pocahontas is in Winterspell because she's got a nice warm winter coat, unlike Moana standing next to her. It's just completely uncovered and probably going to freeze to death. But
freeze to vanish, you mean?
Freeze to vanish, yeah, sorry. Cut that out.
I'm thinking about it more now that I'm looking at it again because we talked about the other Pocahontas earlier. One thing Scott said that's absolutely correct is that when this card has to shift over a 2-drop and not a 1-drop, it gets a lot worse. Also, one thing that if you play with Kita a lot that you understand is like shifting on 3, even with Kita, isn't that great. You only have a 2-drop, so you're not luring for enough to make use of the effect. A lot of Kita's play came from the fact that she works with like Under the Sea or things that do well with attack reduction, and not even necessarily from the fact that she's like such a good card for aggro to like play a bunch of characters and then you can't challenge them because she reduces your attack. Like, that kind of, in my opinion, and I played a lot of Amber Steel in set 2 actually, where like you played Sleepy and like the key, like it is the type of deck where it seemed like Kita was going to be a banger, and it really like was just fine. I think not letting people challenge at all is a lot better than minusing the attack for an aggressive based strategy. But I do think like Kita gets her effect when she's just played. This has to be shifted.
Yeah, that's true.
So like, it's really gonna come down to like how that aggressive curve looks. Like, if you're able to drop a lot of lore quickly and people are needing to challenge to get past, and then she's able to shift very reliably, like this is a strong effect. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It's well statted. It's got the extra health compared to Kita. So
I just realized that you had to shift to get the effect.
Yeah.
that makes it a lot worse. Like I said when I was talking with Kita, I think there was a trap to play the 1 cost. I think you just had to get to 5 and use this as a finisher and aggro. So not having that kind of stinks, especially with not having a 1 cost. Like, I think it is stronger, so maybe it's still worth it, but like that definitely makes it worse.
I'm assuming that we'll see more Pocahontas.
We'll see the 1 cost Pocahontas. I don't know. I feel like this is maybe strong enough to us, but we'll see.
Say that again.
Like, I think this is like strong enough to where they would not keep like print the 1 cost. They would just keep the unequal 2 cost.
Okay.
Like, that's the trade-off of like, oh, it needs to shift and you don't have a great. It's like the yeah.
I personally wouldn't worry about this card being too powerful ever, and I actually want to see Iconics be playable. And
Yeah.
I'd like to see the Pocahontas be
How high roll
playable.
are you? Wow.
So I mean, I don't even play with Iconics. I just think it's good for the game.
Yeah, no, that's
Like,
true.
it's good for like the price of the cards. It's good for like, my local, they like open up an Iconic and it's a Hades and they get like a case of the next set. But
Yeah.
like my local, they open up like a Mickey and like they get it to like, fix their car. This stuff matters.
Yeah.
True.
No, that's fair. I mean, the next card here, it seems like this could be a playable iconic
The one.
MOANA. I've heard crazy takes on this card, from like, this is gonna change the game, to what are we talking about? We're not going to even play this anyway. It doesn't matter. So I'm really interested to hear what you two guys have to say. But I know Sky is in on this card for sure.
I think this card is crazy.
Uh-huh.
I think playing a Cinderella into this card is like so insane, like value wise, that it's like it opens up archetypes that probably did not exist before. Like, if you look at yellow blue, it seems like this set is like they're trying to springboard this color to do more than just like weird aggro that's worse than other aggro decks.
Yeah.
And like, this is the card that deck needed. It just needed some sort of draw. Cindy's crazy ramp, and they already had 2 cost ramp. You go into Cindy and you go into this. Cindy already is a value engine because that's a character, and that's an ink, and that's a card. Like, that's 3 cards essentially. So like, that's a lot of draw in itself. Like, a lot of people mistake that, oh, it's not draw because you're inking. If you look at how many turns in this game you're inking, it's almost every turn that you play the game, every deck is aggro. The games are over faster, but it's still inking every turn pretty much. So like, inking a card is pretty much drawing a card in a lot of cases. It's not quite as strong because you don't see that card and don't have an option to dig for other important stuff, but it is drawing a card. So like, playing a Cindy into this, that's a lot of card draw. It retriggers Cindy. You have plenty of cards like Sail, like Develop Your Brain, that are already in there. So this card is like, with Cindy, a draw engine, and I think it's like very strong. Not just in the yellow blue shell. I think green blue also, it's strong. Retriggering Cindy is huge. It's like, green blue currently is one of the strongest decks. A lot of curves you want to go double, whether it's Donald into Cindy or Cindy into Cindy. I think in a lot of cases, Donald into Cindy versus Cindy into MOANA. MOANA is just a lot stronger because it gets you that 1 extra ink while drawing you a card. Sometimes Donald drawing your opponent a card is better, but Donald also reads May, so it's like, this is just a strictly better card if your opponent is playing it correctly. And usually, like, even when they know Claire is coming, they're still going to take the card. Because if you don't, then it opens up even more to like be greedier and play like another frost and wait with the Claire and draw more bounce. So like, I think this card is insane. I think people are underrating a lot. I've heard a lot of people say it's a vanilla card. This is not what this deck wants to do. I don't see how this could ever be a vanilla card. Like, Genie draws a card when it comes into play, and then it's a vanilla evasive, right? This is not vanilla. Drawing a card every turn is. I think this card's insane.
Yeah. So one thing off the rip, having seen the discussion around this card is like, if you play this card on 5 and you don't get the effect immediately, and then it just gets Elsa'd or Raging Fired or Bolted or whatever, like, yes, it's bad. Don't do that. If you Cindy and then you go to 5 and then you play it on the next turn and then you ink, it's a lot better. To get the effect automatically. Inking isn't exactly drawing, and there's a lot of interpretation there, and it's obviously going to work different with every deck. Like, I think this effect is actually kind of weaker with Clarabelle. I think, like, as crazy as this sounds, it may unlock the ability to not play Clarabelle, but Clarabelle is probably just so good you just play a version with Clarabelle, in which case maybe this doesn't make it cut as like a 4-up or something.
It does help the games where you would miss Clarabelle. I think this with Cindy is enough draw to where you can just stall for a while, and maybe by the time you find Clara, you double bounce. It's like still crazy.
Definitely. So I mean, I'm not trying to discount it from that color combination completely at all. But what I'll say is that when you play Blurple and you play a lot of 1-drops, you start to get an understanding of the equivalency of like free ink as a draw. So in Blurple, you might have 6 ink and you have a Hades and a Bell. And you just drew the Bell. So this is your only cards in your hand are Hades and Bell. You could ink Bell, play Hades. Okay, but Bell kills their Dumbo anyways, so I should just play Bell, hold something, or hold the Hades, and then, you know, I'll draw a 1-drop, which is terrible. I'll ink that, and then I'll play the Hades, you know. Some people in that situation, they just ink the Bell, play the Hades.
Mm-hmm.
You know, by not inking, you basically drew a Bell, or whatever. You know, similarly for MOANA, it's like if you're able to get the value on the first turn you play her and ink a free card and then not ink another card in your hand as like a Blurple player or something, chances are you're actually keeping, like, because of just how inking in that deck works towards like the mid to late game, you're actually keeping powerful cards in your hand by inking from the graveyard. By inking the Sail from the graveyard, you're keeping something a lot more powerful in your hand. And I think like that's where you're probably MOANA will feel the best, versus like in a shell where they're trying to dump their hand to play the Clarabelle, even though obviously I think it's still good there. Yeah, I mean, it's a princess. Obviously, it works with the Cindy. Like, that's what everyone's thinking about. You could easily see how, like, if this card sticks, it gets out of hand. Especially if they have a bunch of, like, like, one of the keys is that, like, the deck that plays MOANA, it's going to have a lot of big characters, like, a lot of big stuff. Because, like, the whole goal is you play Sail, you play something else, and then it becomes your ink in the late game. And instead of, like, the extra 1-drops you're playing now, or the extra 2-drops, or the improvises, or whatever, these things you're, like, fitting in when they're played, and you're inking them when they're not. Like, you could kind of see where maybe this card allows you to just, like, even though you could ink some of those from the graveyard if you played them early, like, I guess you can kind of see where, like, inking from the graveyard basically becomes draw a card, like, when all of the cards in your hand are good, at least. Like,
but
definitely.
I like the point you brought up with Blurple, but I think that MOANA has that effect in decks like Green Blue already. So if you look at what you want to do, if you play Cindy on turn 3 and you play this card and you hold like a Clarabelle and a bounce spell, and like typically I think you can like hold 3 cards before your Cinderella trigger. So like sometimes I think if you play a Tipo and you do Cindy, you get to a spot where you have 2 cards, and like you have to, when you do the Cindy trigger, you can't hold on to 7-cost Clarabelle and 2 bounce spells. This card would essentially enable you to, like, if you ink from the discard, you can hold like multiple bounce spells and the Clara for after Cindy, MOANA, and the next turn hard cast Clarabelle for 7, keep your 2 songs to sing, and you still got to ink every turn, which I think is like pretty good, because like Donald Duck does give you ink for that turn, but it's not until the next turn, and so like that, obviously you would have, if it's you'd have to be a balance to hold on to it. So I think it does have some value in other decks as well.
I definitely see. Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely not trying to say it doesn't. I definitely see what you're saying about green blue. I mean, I've played green blue a lot. So like, there's times where you have to ink the MMS or you have to ink the You're Welcome to climb to get your ink up. So you'd be able to keep those and then ink like a sail instead if you played this versus playing a Donald. Obviously this is a 5 and Donald's 4, but no, I can definitely see that. I mean, for me, I don't
think
know
also
if
the 5 versus 4 doesn't matter a whole lot
because
like,
you have Cindy.
yeah, obviously if you miss a 4 cost, it's terrible because you can't play it on 3. But like you can still do like Cindy into 5 plus 1 cost Clarabelle. Like a strong play in green blue was to go Cindy, and then next turn Donald plus 1 cost Clarabelle, or go Donald into Cindy plus 1. You can still do that with this because you have 6 ink on turn 4.
Ink and then play 1-drop Clarabelle. Yeah, I mean, this is Lorcana, right? It's all about finding the lines.
Yeah.
The lines for the
The
first
only
5
thing that I'd be
turns.
sketched out about this card is like entirely replacing Donald. You need more than 4 drop.
4
At that
drops.
point-
And
at
that's
that point,
actually
you're
my
blue steel.
hang-up.
That's why blue steel is so bad, because like there's a 73% chance if you run develop and mulligan aggressively for Cindy, but that's a lot to miss.
Right.
Like
I mean,
if
this
you're
is why
just
people
doing...
like detectives as well. They like the Judy.
Yeah.
4-drop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say my last thing on this card is I think it's really good for blue steel as well. I think blue steel is a card where you look at a card like Goliath, and it's like, okay, well if you have time to get a Goliath down, blue steel can really take over the game with like Aerial, just playing one big thing and singing a song per turn and triggering Aerial. But sometimes you don't have time to get down Goliath, and you need an alternate way to generate, a card draw. This paired with Cindy does that perfectly. And to go back to, I think it's sometime earlier I mentioned this, but to me, blue steel, the best thing you can do is play Cindy on turn 3, play an Aerial the next turn. The following turn, you can go up to 8 ink if you ink for turn. You could play a princess that's like 6 or less, so either another Aerial, an Amari. This MOANA is the new best target, I think, for me. And then sing a song, pay 2 to trigger the Aerial, take out 2 things, and re-trigger Cindy still. Because the deck does have avenues to harvest, 10, 12 ink and start double spelling with 5 and 6 cost, or like hard cast spells and trigger Aerial plus a 6 cost. So I think this card like checks all those boxes for blue steel. If you can go Cindy, Aerial, song plus this, like you're set up in such a good spot with that deck. And if that deck is at all real, I think it's for sure like the craziest line you can do.
We got the
Genie.
we got the Tink, and we got the Genie. Tinkerbell, legendary. This is going to be the set championship card. Interesting. We usually go like hero, villain, hero, villain, hero, villain. We're double heroing up here with Daisy. And then Tinkerbell, the Snowflake Collector, a 3/3/4/3. While you have 4 more cards in your hand, this character gains evasive. While you have 7 more cards in your hand, this character gets +3 lore. I feel like this card, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe you guys disagree, I feel like this card is unplayable outside of Emerald Amethyst. Like, I don't think any other deck is getting to 4 cards consistently in their hand after turn 3. Definitely not 7. So, like, if you put in a Brainiac Shell, can probably work pretty well. Quest for 7 and has evasive, or Quest for 4 and have evasive, but other than that, I don't think it's going to be played in anything else.
Yeah, I don't think this one's good. I think like Blurple can easily keep 4 cards in the mid game, and it's like a 3/3. I don't know. Brian was talking about Wasabi having a good stat line for evasive stuff, but I don't see it being worth it all right now.
Yeah,
I think it's probably unlikely that you're going to see Spectacular find, would you play a 3/3 with evasive? That's where I start. The first question
that's
I
the
ask
question.
myself.
Yeah.
Well, people have the 1/3 with evasive, the other Tinkerbell that lures for 2. People play that.
Yeah.
But that's an aggressive strategy. You don't care about the attack. You're just luring. They can't interact. You get to 20. The stat line of the card, kind of relevant, kind of irrelevant. Purple Steel does a good job of hiding the stats of 3 drops anyways, because they play Raging Fire.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other piece there being like the Tinkerbell shift, right? So like, if this card's played, it's probably because it's getting shifted on some other Tinkerbell, like whether it's the steel one or something. I definitely think like it needs to either have a synergy with Fairy or the Shift Tank for it to be good. I mean, before maybe like the other Tinkerbell and shifting into Tink wasn't enough or wasn't good enough, and when you have some redundancy, this could be good.
Mm-hmm. With the Queen, the 5/6 Tinkerbell.
Ooh, the
Is that
I
what you're
know
talking about? The shift one?
I was talking about the one that just deals one,
Oh.
the steal one.
Classic.
Oh,
Like,
I
it just
see, I
comes
see,
down
I
on
see.
4, right?
I gotcha, I
Like,
gotcha, I
you could be
gotcha.
shifting that on the 1/3. You could be shifting that on the 1/3 lore right now, but it doesn't make a lot of sense because the 1/3 lore is an aggressive card, so you're like slowing down your aggression, and the whole point of playing the 1/3 is that you're going fast with the lore.
Yeah.
So like, I just don't think that that one really combines well. Yeah, right now the evasive cards have the genie obviously has 4 health, so
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I think maybe if
Make
they
her a
had
4/3,
made it a
guys.
4/3, yes. I think if they had made it a 4/3, that's what I was gonna get at. I actually think the card would be like a pretty fair card to play in purple steel, and you may even be able to fit some tinks in then. But
Yeah.
as is, I'm not a shift tink. But as is, like, yeah, I don't see it right now.
What do you see with this genie? Boost 1, this character gets +1 lore for each card under him. 3/4 on turn 3. Are you going to be able to quest 2, 3, 4 lore with this guy consistently? Where do you think he fits in best?
He's got a great stat line. I mean, obviously it could be better. We have like Lexingtons, and the other thing we looked at earlier are 4/4s, but 3/4s have been traditionally good.
Yeah.
Like we have the genie that's a dragon, for instance. Boost. Now that we've all played with it, we've seen like, you know, Christmas Land where you boost something a bunch and then it gets bounced to your hand. Like, you know, Blurple's even kind of like cutting a lot of the elephants and stuff. Like outside of Olaf, 1-drop on a purple steel, I would say that like the whole boost infinite card dream kind of hasn't happened. But it definitely seems a lot more possible with this card. I mean, you know, when purple steel is in those like board states where they're just sitting, uh, like this guy does kind of eventually let you like turn twice and just win.
Mm-hmm.
A lot faster than they are now. Like right now, they don't have a lot of good lore options. And if you're able to actually invest the 1 every turn while still doing some decent stuff, or like, you know, every other turn or whatever, and he's just like sitting there, I think he could be pretty solid. Because then if you bounce him with Olaf, obviously you get like a billion cards back, and you know, if he goes unanswered, he can be quite aggressive, like against some of the other decks. I mean, one thing to understand though is like if you play him on 3 and then you boost him on 4, and you're the aggressive player, he's still under statted lore wise for being an aggressive 3-drop character.
Mm-hmm.
When you boost him again, then he is. So like let's say that you went for 2 and then you went for 3 over 2. You know, you'd basically be investing 5. I'd still say that's kind of below rate. So like basically, you know, the genie, in my opinion, has to get like 4 lore. This genie has to get 4 lore for him to have been like really good. If you haven't pulled off like some kind of combo where you bounce him back and get a bunch of cards because you boosted. Obviously, you know, seeing Raging Fire is good, but it's an interesting card.
I think this card is mega overrated. I've seen so many people be hype on this card, and I don't see it. I like the steel 3/4 genie better than this card, like actually by a decent amount. Like,
With the alert.
Yeah, or
With
with
the
the
evasive.
No,
During
this.
your
Yeah,
turn.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because like that card, you just play a Dumbo and you're gonna use your extra ink to literally just draw the card, right? And like you're by the time you need cards in this like in purple steel, let's say, you're gonna be like, okay, I left myself with 1 Dembo in hand, and I'm gonna like play it, tap, draw 1 card this turn, next card turn. If they both survive, you just draw multiple cards. I think that what this card does is very comparable to that, except you have to have like Olaf balance the card. And like that's like really awkward. You're even like an Infinity could play a bounce card, but that's still like really slow. I think the boost one and Purple Steel is like Purple Steel is probably one of the decks that is the worst at using that extra 1 ink. I think Purple Steel has tons of 1-drops and has tons of outlets to where you're gonna want to pair down your hand to dock, or to get down to a Demona. And I think like using those extra 1 inks on curve is actually very important. It's a deck that like wants to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's already 4 turns of filling out all of your ink. And then next turn's like the first turn where you could play like another 4-cost Genie plus play 1 to boost. But if you're playing that, you're also probably fine with, since you've drawn 2 cards with Genie, 4-cost, playing just another 1-cost and then looking for a Demona plus dock or something. At that point, you're probably going to have one of those things. So I think this card is actually like pretty unplayable. It is like more aggressive, like if you want to like build up one thing, but you're trading that aggression for not playing a 1-cost alongside this. If you just play this plus a 1-cost at 4 ink, that's the same effect essentially lore wise. And one, you have another character for like strength. You're also playing down for dock plus Demona. So I think this card actually won't see like any play.
What about the synergies with the cards that give you something for cards under cards?
I mean, that
do you not believe in those at all? We didn't cover any of them today, but there's like the green Donald.
Oh yeah, the Christmas tree Donald. I think that's like a green red card though. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, boost 1 is like definitely strong with cards. Like I think the Donald's like what, it doubles the amount of boost and you draw a card after you
for
boost,
every card
right?
underneath it when it's banished.
Yep.
That's fine, but you have to play this on like turn. You can play like this on turn 4 plus boost it, and then the next turn play Donald and boost again, and you draw 1 card, and it has 3 cards underneath it, and it goes for 4, I guess. That's fine, but it's gonna just at that point you're entering the I've played an Elsa and tapped your cool guy, and I take it out, or I'm ramping to Hades, and I'm just gonna remove all your cool stuff that has to live.
Well, then Hades would give me 5 ink or whatever.
That's fine. I think if you're playing a deck like that, you don't care if they have infinite ink at that point.
I'm not huge on the Genie by any means. I'm not huge on any of the. I'm not saying it won't be good, but right now, from what I've seen, I am not a believer in like the boost synergy overall. I think you'll hear the same thing Sky said from a lot of people, like Elsa, blah 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 blah. Like, you know, just play cards that kill it, and it's kind of understated. I think it just goes back to what I said, which is like a lot of people see this and they think like about all the cards they could have, just like bouncing cards, like boost cards now, and like Cheshire Cat. And I just, when you actually play the game, like these situations don't come up in the game, and often that come up, but they don't come up often in the games where you're actually like doing what both decks are trying to do. It happens way more often when both decks do a bad job of doing what they're doing, and then the game looks broken, and then like the Cheshire Cat gets bounced, and all of a sudden they got 5 cards, and now you have no chance of winning. Like, it happens, but like,
yeah,
in the games where it goes as it's supposed to, like that kind of just never happens where boost gets that kind of value.
To that point, like the Olaf card does get value already because, you know, Purple Steel wants to pair down for dock, right?
Snake,
like, so like if you
it has tons of
like, how many boosts does this card need to, one, you're taking off a higher value card, it's a 3-cost 3/4. How many boosts do you need to get over I play dock, it's a body again, and I draw 2 cards? Like, that's like pretty, like 2 cards is about the most you could probably get with Genie. Like maybe you get 3 or 4.
It's unlikely that dock is played with this card.
Yeah.
I think I like the art. This is one where I'll say I like the art. And I actually do love this. This is a sick art. He's reading up.
He looks great in the epic treatment, which they revealed on the main stage earlier. But there are way more cards to talk about. But we've been talking for 2 hours, so we gotta cut this one. But would love to have Brian back if he wants to come back to talk more spoilers, and of course we'll have more special guests coming onto Podcana as much as we can. But Brian, where can the people find you?
Yeah, I'm just at Th3Rat on social media, anywhere basically. And maybe next time a a lightning round.
Yeah,
I
we
don't
could do
post
that.
much on socials, but I'm always around. But yeah, no, a lightning round, like, max 20 seconds, you throw up the timer. That's
Yeah.
these reveals always get like this because it's like
that's a good idea. Yeah, like
you could talk about
I
them
am a serial
forever.
rambler, so like I think
Yeah.
I need something like that to keep.
I mean, like I remember when we would do these for like, because I played Hearthstone professional, we did this for like Hearthstone, and it'd be like you'd go to load up the VOD of us talking about the new set. It's like 8 hours long, and you're like,
Yeah.
who's gonna watch all of this?
Yeah,
the true fans, bro.
I think the people will be interested. This was a super cool episode, and I love the discussion between you and Sky. Really do appreciate you being here. Sky, any final words before we get out?
No, thanks for coming on, Brian. Like I said, I actually was like, I want to get an episode with the Rat. Like we gotta get him on, and now we got it. So
yeah, Sky. I played him in Michigan tournament recently, and I thought he was just gonna let me draw in, but I was X1 and he was undefeated, so he decided to play.
Oh,
And
so
luckily,
you gotta give the full story. Okay, so like I in Chicago last season, I got top 16.
uh-huh.
I misplayed against Kurt, and I ended up losing at 19 lore because of it, and a good matchup for me. And if I would have won versus Kurt, my next 3 matchups were my best matchup is when Green Steel Bucky was like crazy. And I was playing Blue Steel, and that was like at least a 60-40 matchup. I had a good chance of at least meeting Brian in the finals and having a good matchup there. And so I was like,
top 4, yeah.
I felt like I misplayed my chance to play you, bro. I want to play this out because we were both in no matter what. Like even if, like either one of us loses in top 10. So
One of us felt that way.
I was like, I'm gonna. Also, I knew you're on Blurple, and like Amber Steel, that's one of my best matchups. Unfortunately, I lost the die roll, and you hit like a nasty game 1 against me and just destroyed me. And then you ended up, I think, winning in game 3 or something, but it was close.
Don't worry. Then we went to Top Cut, and I lost the first round, and you won. So
yeah, I didn't win the
All
event,
good,
so
all
like,
good
I
things.
can't regret the decision. I got to play the right hand, I still won the event, but yeah. So good times.
There you go. Sky and the Rat. We had to make it happen, and we did. That's what Podcana does, man. But no, Brian, really do appreciate you being here. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the in-depth discussion on the cards that we were able to hit. I think we got to like 10, which is plenty. Okay, there are a lot of powerful cards, and
we got 10 in 2 hours. Don't say how many, man.
Yeah. there were some really good cards, and there were some cards where we really love the art. But do appreciate you showing up, and Podcana will be back next week. Thanks for watching, everybody. Check us out on all our socials. All of that will be linked down below in the description. Until then, we will see you in the next one. Peace.